Looking for trouble, kinda look in your eyes. Make it a double at the end of the night. Close on the bedroom floor. Yeah, if you're doing it right, won't touch or say it all. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. Body say, body say, body say, body say, body say, body say, to what my body say. Body say, 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 what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. To what my body say. What my body say. Pick up the pace. Don't keep me waiting. Put your hands on my waist. I'll satiate it. I'ma give you a taste. Yeah, I got something sweet. Oh, let me explain everything I mean. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. Body say, body say, body say, body say, body say, body say, to what my body say. Body say, body say, body say, body say, body say, body to what my body say. To what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. No, no, lips don't have to talk when we communicate. Pull me close and listen up to what my body say. Body say. To what my body say. Body say. To what my body say.
No. No.
As a saver, you're good at keeping your wallet happy. PSE&G's Whole Home Energy Solutions can help you do what you do best. And according to energy.gov, you could save up to 30% on your energy costs. Just answer 3 questions on our website, and we'll recommend a home energy assessment that fits your needs. You'll get expert advice, several energy-efficient products fully installed, and additional upgrades if you qualify. Make energy savings part of every day. Visit pseg.com/wholehome.
I could go and read your mind. Think about your dumb face all the time. Living in your glass house, I'm outside. Looking in her big blue eyes. Did it just to hurt me, make me cry? Smiling through it all, yeah, that's my life. You're an idiot. Now I'm sure. Now I'm positive. I should warn her. Bet you think that she's so cool. Kicking back on your couch, making eyes from across the room. Wait, I think I've been there too.
How we doing, folks? Game should be on League of Legends now. Yeah, it's on League. Alright, we're good. Hey, congrats. Last final done. Nice. Pop this out. Taking summer off, good for you. I never got that. I did internships every summer, which probably would have been nice to have one summer where I just like relaxed for the most part, but unfortunately it was never a possibility for me. Hey Catman, how we doing? See, that sucks. Delays the graduation. That sucks. Alright, I'm seeing if I can potentially get a separate guest in here in case Paul... I haven't heard from Paul. So there's a chance that he's busy with child / baby / other things. Baby, are you still up or are you sitting down?
What?
Are you still up or are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
Never mind.
Why?
I need a water bottle. My thing's right over there.
I'll grab it in a minute. I'm doing something.
Was he watching basketball? I don't even think there was a Pacers game today, was there? I know the Knicks won. Beat Boston, which is fantastic. Knicks are now up 2-0 before even coming back to New York, which is great. But don't worry, we got a special guest. A Hotline League frequenter. That's something you might know. Some of you might also know him from being mod of this chat. Oh, would you look at that? Look who it is. I need to add a text over top of this. Oh, well, the names are going to be fucked up today. That's fine. Do I get to call myself Paul now for the rest of the night? Every statement that I make is on behalf of Paul and nobody else?
So you could be making problematic statements tonight. No.
I could be. If I truly wanted to, I could be. But yeah, I haven't heard from Paul, so thank you, man, for coming up.
He still may show up. I've talked to Paul up until 7:20 at the end of the basketball game. So like,
wait, 7:20 is in like
my 7:20, so like 9:20 for you. So like the last 20 minutes.
Huh. He may have just done.
I sent him another message asking if he's doing crossover. He's
typing in the sports chat. He's dead. Okay, well, in the case that he comes, we're doing 3 people for this episode.
Oh, you don't have to if you don't need to.
No, we definitely are. Easy Mode Garrett, thank you for the follow. Oh, he's definitely going to be here, apparently. He just got home. So, okay, this is great. We got a fantastic trio to talk about conversations tonight. This is great. I'll tell you what was funny. I watch a lot of Cadro clips. Don't ever tune into a stream. I'm not a stream guy. Never have been. Never will be. But I watch all of like the YouTube VODs, like him talking about business stuff. Oh man, was it wild to see him talking about the LEC stuff. But I promised myself I would not go straight into that we would talk about the LTA first. I'm going to try and adhere to that. I just spent 30 minutes. Wait, we can talk Disney Park now. Oh, God, the two of you can, and I can just sit here awkwardly.
No.
It'll be funny.
Nah.
Did you listen to the earnings call this morning?
Nah, I did not. It probably happened like when I was doing stuff with my work.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to ask you. Pickens.
Oh, I mean, that was been rumored like all off season. It sounded like it might not end up happening, but the fact that it does happen kind of makes sense. I think people were expecting that to happen at the draft.
Yeah.
Or even before the draft, but
I'm not surprised that he's out of Pittsburgh. He's your problem now. Congrats. Or he's Dallas's problem for the Cowboys fans. Like, good luck. Have fun.
hey, guys, Abu Dhabi is not Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's not Saudi Arabia.
I've had to clarify that to more than a few people at this point. Oh, there he is. You can swap that over to 3 people. And voila, look at that.
Yeah, my bad.
Paul is DMing me from the moment it got announced, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, that was a surprise announcement. I would say for like as far as Disney news goes.
I don't think it was. There was people in the theme park, people that I follow, that were expecting it to happen. Maybe not.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't leaked like to the common man.
That is fair.
Like, I would say usually something like that leaks, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was known by the NDA people, but I felt like that was the first thing Disney's done in probably I don't know, 2 or 3 years that has actually like the NDAs have held, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what threw me off. But yeah, I saw the same thing you were seeing, Con. Some people saying, we knew this was coming a few days ago, and we're just going to talk about the park only. Everybody was strictly park only. We're not going to talk about the business practices of whatever. This is about the theme park.
I saw there were some people who like are coaster like enthusiast people who were like, we and our friends have traveled to the UAE for like Ferrari World and some of the other stuff in Abu Dhabi, like in the same area, and basically like we had never felt like we never had to like follow any type of guidelines. We felt very welcomed. Even like people who are part of the LGBTQ community, they felt welcomed, and there was no like pushing anything off. It didn't feel weird or anything. And then people were responding back basically just like, what are they paying you to say this stuff? And they're just like, it's just our experiences. Like, we're just trying to let people know for like Ferrari World and like the Warner Brothers movie world, which is in the same spot pretty much, how they felt when they went there last year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The concept stuff was pretty sick. The outdoor, like, glass castle idea, moving into indoor themed lands is like one of the coolest possible things you could do. And the infinite budget is going to be pretty sick. I'm just going to assume the budget's infinite because it's Middle Eastern oil money and Disney. And you know they're going to want to have like the coolest thing they can. Because most of their other places, I know they're slightly, they're not bad places. I just know they haven't been as impressed with the turnout of tourism to them, like their SeaWorld and the Warner Bros. Place. And my guess is they went to Disney and were just like, I mean, this was probably years ago, who knows? But they probably just went up to them and were like, hey, we want something that's going to like bang.
Oh, yeah. And so that Yaz Island is also due to be probably announcing sometime in the next year, like a Harry Potter like theme park extension, and it's basically going to be built up into like Orlando if it had an infinite budget.
If they can figure out how to do cheap flights to the UAE, I ain't even gonna lie. That'd be if they can figure it out. Here.
I'm not gonna lie. I've always wanted to go over there. I've got a bunch of friends.
Yeah,
I've got a bunch of friends here in New York that are Middle Eastern descent that go over there pretty consistently, and I want to check it out at some point.
Yeah, I just know right now they're like, I assume they're grand.
Oh, they gotta be expensive.
Like, it's gotta be something like that. What if you're lucky, a grand? I'd assume. What here we go. Abu Dhabi is $1,100 round trip. I could fly to Dubai for 991.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not in my wheelhouse, but
Did you listen
anytime
to
soon.
the entire investors call, Paul? Like, did you listen to all of it?
No,
No.
I listened to the shortened one because I didn't have time
Damn.
to listen to the full one.
I was gonna say, did you hear the words GNA or the acronym GNA mentioned at all?
I didn't hear GNA. I heard a lot of in the shortened stuff. I heard a lot of DTC.
What'd you hear? Well, what?
Just
I'm curious to
pretty
know.
much that they're that Disney's pretty happy with where DTC is. Hulu and Disney Plus grew this quarter from last quarter, and that's like a good thing. And the people I watch were like, "Oh, we're kind of surprised their streaming's starting to really pick up." My personal belief is that it's because Hulu has so much good stuff. Like, I did not realize how deep the Hulu bag was until Sam got into Hulu, and she's deep in Hulu. Like, she's stuck in there. We got rid of Netflix to keep Hulu
We got
and
rid of
stay in our
Netflix like
budget.
4 months ago.
Like, they got some stuff cooking on Hulu, because we're running Hulu and I get Peacock for free with my internet. So, I mean, when you rock with Disney and Universal, you're gonna get everything you want. Like, there's no reason not to.
It's always just interesting
I
to
know you
hear.
can't say too much.
No, I can't. Yeah, I just like it whenever, like, because now, like, there's only certain things I can talk about with my job, but it's nice whenever I just tell people, like, hey, keep an ear out for DTC. Anything you hear DTC, that's
Yeah.
me. And it's like, it's fun whenever people actually like hear it and be like, oh, that's the thing.
Yep.
But
The big thing, I listen to mainly park people, so that's what they talk about most. The biggest thing the guy said was that the call was really good for the Abu Dhabi park, was that it's not going to be run by Disney. It's more run by Abu Dhabi, which means that the construction doesn't have to be paid for slash, like, I guess, manned by Disney or managed, which is really nice because that 60 billion you're chucking into the parks over the next 10 years that you guys said a couple years back is like is just for the US and Shanghai, Hong Kong ones, not like in Europe, but not for Tokyo or Abu Dhabi, which is really good because I was sitting here for a second when I heard the release until I saw that it was being funded by them. I was like, bruh, don't tell me that 60 billion number was because they're building a new park in a country I'm never gonna go to. I was gonna be so sad. But it's not, so crisis averted. And he very quickly like made that clear. The Diarmo dude. I don't actually know how to say his last name, but the Josh guy came on there and was pretty quick, like, yeah, this ain't our money, so chill out. Because you already knew he knew Disney adults were like, really, bruh? And he was like, no, chill. We're just sending workers who get to pretty much, like, limit test their abilities. So, and they'll come back to America better. And I was like, all right, sounds good to me. Do your thing. Do what you gotta do to get better. I don't care. People can debate about the morality of the money all they want. Work is work, and if they get better, that's all I'm here for. I'm only here for theme parks to be great. I'm not going to solve world peace with Disney, so I don't care.
well, what's great in a way is this news of, you know, a Middle Eastern rich oil conglomerate coming in and paying for something could also be a easy segue over to what people think about League of Legends, but that might be later for the podcast.
No, that's a good point.
I
will, before we segue, I will say, instantly sent that to Sam and reminded her that there's a lot of drone jobs around Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, and said a lot of those places will hire American drone pilots because they think we're really good. And I appreciate they think we're good, but they'll hire you to really test their stuff. And I was like, come on. Just say the word. We're there. They pay a lot of money. They have still said no. So worth a shot didn't hit. Even with a Disney, dude. An indoor Disney. I was like, it's gonna be inside. Massive Disney. You can just stand there all day. You don't even have to worry about me. Still no. I tried.
Damn.
Just doesn't matter.
I'm curious why the TL jersey today, Con.
Well, last week the topic of the podcast was like, I think people are flaming TL a little bit too much. All this, all that. And then they come out and look like the only team that like looked good against their bottom 4 competition this week. And it feels like we're kind of going back to the same, like, oh, maybe TL is just going to be the best team in our region again.
Who'd they beat up on? The Skies?
Yeah, who didn't everybody else beat up on?
Fair.
True.
Fair. Can't argue that point. Or no. Was it the Skies?
It was Disguise, yeah.
Who did C9 play? Oh, C9
They played Lion.
Lion, that's who it was. Yeah. Never mind. So yeah. I mean, look, Umpty still got a bum wrist. Luckily not due to chronic injury, thank God. He just fell on his fucking wrist and hurt it. It's just like the one thing you can't do as an esports player. But, here we are.
I mean, that game, too, against DSG, that was like the longest I've seen a perfect game go in years for League of Legends. It went almost like 18 minutes before GSG got like their first objective or kill or anything like that. It felt like, oh, this is what TL does when they end up winning. They kind of just like, they just kind of get all together on the same page. Umpty plays aggressive. They follow his aggression, and they just kind of steamroll.
So then I pose the question, are they peaking too early?
No.
I'm trying to come up with anything here to stop the hype train because I hate the idea, and I desperately need this weekend for C9 to kick TL's ass. Because if Team Liquid beats C9, the entire narrative for the rest of the season is going to be, fuck, TL's just going to win it again, aren't they? Like, that's going to be the whole assumption.
Okay, well, let's put this back on you're a 100 Thieves fan. We see you're wearing the 100 Thieves, you do your 100 Thieves show every week.
Yep.
I mean, you guys aren't guaranteed second seed yet, but would you rather face TL or C9 for the second seed?
We match up better against C9, in my opinion.
So what you're saying is you want C9 to give you the harder, worse matchup opponent.
Yeah, I need C9 to beat TL. And if C9 beats TL, we play C9 for that upper bracket 1 seed or whatever it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then FlyQuest would play Team Liquid. I think that's the better matchup, being honest.
No, it's one versus 1, 2 versus 2.
I thought it was 1 versus 2, 2 versus...
No, it's 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2.
Fuck, never mind.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, that changes things.
It's 3 fours because that's
the
3
they
fours.
Eliminate.
Shit. Elimination.
Damn it.
Somebody can put a graphic in Esports.
Fine. I want TL to win.
Oh my goodness.
Because here's my logic. Okay, here's my logic. I think we stand a better chance in terms of the hierarchy of teams that 100 Thieves can beat. Okay. I think FlyQuest is our hardest matchup. We caught them on a really bad day back in Split 1. But I think they have proven time and time again that they just pummel us into the ground. I don't want to play FlyQuest. I'd rather play Team Liquid second least. And then Cloud9 is obviously Cloud9 for us has been a favorable matchup for whatever reason. Don't know why. It just is. So I'd rather TL beats C9, gets the 1 seed, plays against FlyQuest. We play against C9. We beat C9. FlyQuest beats TL in the 1 versus 1 matchup. We play TL in the 2 versus 3 upper bracket matchup. Boom.
Now, Paul, we know what's going to happen this weekend, though.
What?
Shopify Rebellion.
Shut the fuck up.
The team in this matchup this week that actually took a game off of FlyQuest is going to 2-0 100 Thieves and get the second seed.
If Shopify 2-0s 100 Thieves, I will fucking find a way to lick my foot. Like,
okay,
fucking
actually,
yeah.
You'll bet that you'll lick your foot.
It ain't happening.
Okay.
I don't know how. I gotta find a way to get really flexible in like 3 days, but like that shit ain't happening. There's no chance. I'm sorry. Shopify pulls like one game out, and then you guys revert back to being just completely and utterly clueless. The only thing you have going for you is that 100 Thieves record whenever I host watch parties is abysmal.
I don't know. Shopify does look lifeless.
We kind of look lifeless, but if there's one thing I know over the years, is in best of series, Fudge stomps on Sniper.
That could be true. That could be what does it for us.
And I also know that Quid stomps on Palafox.
Dude, Palafox is tough. I really don't know what to do with Palafox.
Yeah, but the difference is Palafox is just bad. He brings Shopify down really bad. When Sniper starts inting, there's nothing Quid or anybody at 100 Thieves can do. That man is going to int your game away.
I don't think it's going to happen this weekend. I think per Spooks, he's been working with Sniper one-on-one, and Sniper individually has stepped up a lot. Now, granted, it was just against 30, so can't take all that much into it for now, at least. But I think it was a massive step in the right direction. So I'm just saying, I think 100 Thieves is fine. I like that is the one matchup this weekend that I'm looking at and saying, yeah, that should be pretty cut and dry.
Really?
Yeah. It might be messy. I'm not saying the game is going to be clean, but I think it's still going to be like 100 Thieves does not lose like series or even like let the series be like a game 3 close match against the bottom 4. We just don't. We might look messy in how we close it out or how we get to that point, but we haven't lost against any of the bottom 4 this year.
I get it if you mean that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just hard to think. I just can't imagine us punishing things you guys do wrong. I just think Shopify doesn't make good decisions.
No.
And the more I'm watching, I'm just like, I don't know what we do. I know I'm hating on my own team, but it's like, I do want a mid lane change before split 3.
It's okay.
Like,
I saw Cloud earlier. I don't know if you guys watched the LTA report at all.
Yeah.
But at the very end,
I haven't seen this new episode yet.
Cloud was like, bro, we fumbled this year so fucking hard. Turning on him. Even this is not good.
Oh, we had Ludwig turn on the stream and co-stream like once game 3 started, and like turn it off before the game ended. Like that's how I think that's a great representative to Shopify's year so far. Is like,
yeah,
he turned.
It's not easy to watch.
Yeah, he was like,
it's not easy.
He's like, I don't think I'm gonna watch my boys do this, guys. We're just gonna click it off and go do something else. And I'm just like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like that's Shopify's whole season, which they have that potential to get to the game 3, whatever. Like the roster looks like it could do stuff. Hey, even your popular streamer, co-streamer might actually like invest into the team and stuff. And like the minute it starts not looking great, everybody just runs away. The co-streamer just stops watching, stops like doing anything around the team.
Which is hilarious because like for those that don't know the context behind what I'm about to say, Scump is a part of Optic Gaming. Optic has had one of the worst years in their Call of Duty like franchise history. We're on like our 3rd roster change for the 3rd like season in a row. Like the Call of Duty seasons are like in 5 basically 5 segments, okay, rather than 3 for League. We've made a roster change every segment so far. And we finished last or like second to last at almost every event, I think, in every LAN. And Scum's still there watching all the games. And he has to sit there on camera and just be like, yep, guys, it ain't pretty. And like they watch every game, no matter how bad it is. They do not turn it off. They do not go to a different thing. They watch the other teams, celebrate like the good teams and the good moments. But it's like you sit there and you watch him in just pure agony of just like he doesn't know what to say. There's like, what can he do? And then you look at like the League people and it's like, oh, my team's doing bad. I'm just not gonna watch. It's like that's why I don't fucking respect it. I don't.
100%.
I've watched every 100 Thieves game that I fucking can. I watched us get our shit pushed in by FlyQuest and had to post that. You know how miserable that was to edit? Okay? I had to watch myself get spanked in public, okay? And then I had to go in and make sure that the spanking was shown properly on camera and post that shit. And it unironically, I think, got like 2,000. Was that the one with 2,000? I don't know. One of them popped off and had like 2,000 views.
We're having trouble, I think, at Shopify. The Charlie Ludwig like join in, I don't think has gone perfect. I think their understanding of our league team's skill was like kind of, I don't know if Ludwig quite understood how bad the team was, but I think Charlie understood at the beginning of the year because like that first day he said, yeah, FlyQuest will probably beat us because they're the best team in the league. So this is understandable. And he watched the first series, you know, when we got crushed in Winter Split. But I did not get the same idea, or I haven't got the same idea from Ludwig, or like he's not able to sit through it and take it the way Charlie is. He's
also way busier, to Ludwig's credit. Like Ludwig as a creator is so much, like he does so much more, travels and like has a bunch of our shit going on. But like,
I call dude. Abai was like as busy, if not busier, than Ludwig has been, and he always made sure to be there for Koi games.
Ludwig was literally just backpacking through Japan from one side of the country to the other. So like, and I'm assuming that was like pre-planned for a while with the folks from Jetlag. So like, I'm not saying that there's not parts of it. However, obviously, I don't think he understood what it takes to be a co-streamer in League of Legends to the fullest extent.
I'll be honest.
I mentioned that's
like here's probably the reality of the situation is Ludwig had like part sponsorship with Shopify, the brand previously. Moist Moguls wasn't really going anywhere. They probably used a deal with Kelby and them. We're like, hey, you know what'd be cool if we could sell our Moist Moguls like team and roster slots and merge with Shopify, and we can we'll slap your guys' name on there, but like, you know, that's kind of just it. There wasn't like any big thought of like, oh, these are co-owners that are actually going to be like promoting the product at all or anything. They're just like, we bought Moist Moguls and, you know, that's about it.
No. Good segue. Speaking of a buy, did we read the allegations against Koi?
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, so we're just gonna mention
no, we ain't just gonna skirt past that because that's fucking wild.
Apparently, he's part of the people like bringing them forward too. Like he's apparently one of the groups trying to like out this right now.
Yeah,
that's so funny if he's like bringing it forward and being like, "Who could have stopped this?" It's like
that's also true.
Is it kind of like the Dave Portnoy Philadelphia situation,
buddy? Yeah, pretty much is. Yes, him being like, "Why? How could this have happened under our tutelage, under our great leadership that we've amassed?" Like, well, honestly, you might be the only one surprised that happened under your leadership. Like, I don't. If he's bringing it forward, that would be kind of odd to be. Isn't he like the owner?
He is the owner, yeah. But I mean, if he's learning of the allegations and didn't know about it, there's
Yeah.
like there is a umbrella of uncertainty because he's not on site, and it seems like all these allegations, for the most part, barring like I think the bonus and salary stuff, that one seems like it would have hit him. But like the nut allergy, the spike, whose drink did they spike with caffeine or some shit before like game 5
It was
to regardless.
I mean,
like that shit, he wouldn't have been like in the locker room. He's co-streaming the entire time.
Yeah.
But I kind of there was once an owner affiliated with the North American team. We're not naming any names.
I'll name names.
And I put a lot of blame on him as you put your name on yourself as an owner of something. Anything that happens under your umbrella while you call yourself the de facto owner and head of that product, you take responsibility for. Even if after the fact, like, oh, I didn't know about it, I wasn't that aware. Like, that's your only. No, I wasn't thinking Reggie.
No, it's not. Shockingly.
Jack, Steve.
No,
it's
we're
a
talking
man
about
that you watch his YouTube content sometimes.
Cadril?
I'll give you a hint. His
LCS.
name starts with Monty and ends with Christo.
Oh, Monty. Oh, no, I haven't watched any. Monty basically cut off YouTube content like a while, league content like months ago.
So, like, I still will always hold Monte Cristo to the standard of like, you put your name on the like, you're the owner. You put you're responsible for what's going on in your business and your side, and like you put the people in charge there. And if your negligence of these very serious things like didn't get to you, that's also I think partly your problem overall. Just like with what happened with Renegades. As much as Monty would try being like, I wasn't there, I didn't know about this and stuff. It's like, well, you put a guy that Riot themselves banned from being even like supposed to be like in contact with League of Legends team for a year, and you were just like, oh, they won't care if I keep him as like the team manager for a year, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll act like I didn't know any of this stuff was happening, and whether you did or didn't doesn't matter. You're the owner, like.
Yeah, you bear that
your
weight.
responsibility. Yeah.
So the buy thing just seems weird if he's leaking it. Like, why would you not? How does he have such little control, I guess, or like understanding of what's going on? Because that feels like something, and also leaking it yourself feels weird. Why wouldn't you wait to be able to make an official response after you finish your own internal investigation?
I think odds are there was probably enough rumblings from fans of just like people putting pieces together that he felt like he had to get ahead of it in some way, shape, or form before it really ballooned out of control. Like that would be my guess. Like just trying to think of it from like saving face from a PR perspective. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
There could also be maybe the idea of blaming the more Mad Lion side of the partnership, and like this was their, this wasn't me and my stuff. This was the Mad Lions crew that was being terrible like this. And
because correct me if I'm wrong, back when it was Mad Lions Koi, Mad Lions mostly ran the show, but it was a buy's name that was just associated with it. It wasn't until he got MKOI back that he really took control. Wasn't that because there was a headline with him a bit ago that was something along the lines of like he had to fork over his own money despite not having control over something just to make sure that people were getting paid and something stayed afloat, but I don't remember what exactly the headline was.
I unfortunately am not that up to date with any of like the EU.
I remember
stuff
there was
to know
something.
exactly like
there was
that.
something whenever he got involved in some way, shape, or form, because like it wasn't exactly like the Koi brand or like I forget what was the history of his involvement when he initially came in. What were they under? They weren't under Koi, were they? Or were they?
I think
no, they were.
Didn't they partner Koi with like Rogue? Wasn't it Rogue at first, and then they switched to Mad Lions?
I want to say, yeah, they were with somebody else before they swapped over to Mad Lions Koi. And then it eventually just became MKOI. I don't know. Look, these out to put the allegations to bed, because I really don't think there's much that we can say on this. I hope a thorough investigation is done by Riot. Not that I trust Riot investigations all that much, but
Yeah, let's be real.
I hope
That brand is too valuable.
I hope somebody actually presses charges. If it needs to happen, I hope somebody actually presses charges. Because that's the only way that you start enforcing actual change. What for whoever's bonus it was that was held out, I think it was Supa's. Fucking sue. Like, I get they're your team, but sue. You have clear claim to if it's in your contract, or if you have a really shitty contract, then fine. But at minimum, your drink getting spiked with caffeine is like
It's
to the
probably
point where
going
you're.
to be so hard to prove.
I mean, they got video of him shaking on camera, like literally uncontrollably shaking. Which I know, again, still it is going to be hard to prove. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think you gotta at least
Shaking
try.
could be a symptom of a lot of different things.
Could be. The glass in the drink. I mean, it's hard if you're not documenting it.
Yeah. I mean, really, the ones that he can, though, and you're right, he should push on is the money ones.
Yeah.
You can follow a money trail. Money always is the easiest thing to prove.
Yep.
Like,
Ask the IRS.
makes the world go around for a reason. And I'm sure EU has a pretty good, whatever their version of IRS is. One of the countries, whichever country they're doing their payroll out of. But I don't know. It'd be really difficult, I think, to prove some of the stuff they were listing in there, and some of those things were like. That's why it feels weird to me he had a fan post it, I guess, or a fan page instead of addressing it like himself. Because as a fan page, it feels like, and they haven't said anything else officially, have they?
No, because I'd imagine there's like an internal investigation ongoing.
Feels like they can kind of shove some of the stuff, you know? They can list all the allegations and then only address the ones they want to.
Look, say what you will about Dave Portnoy and the culture that he promoted and created to kind of basically align yourself with people that the situation that's ongoing would happen. But the one thing that I have appreciated with him is from the moment that shit happened in the bar. For those that don't know, there was a guy that went into a bar owned by Dave Portnoy, and they had bottle service come out with a sign that said F the Jews. And staff put it on there and fucking walked out and paraded it. And it's like, what are you doing? Dave Portnoy has been very public and transparent with this entire thing. 2 to 3 minute long videos every time there's an update. You might not like the guy, you might have whatever opinion you want of him. I love things being handled in the public eye like that. I love the accountability that happens as you can like paper trace everything on social media. Like that part of it I enjoy. And I think doing the same thing here would arguably be good because it keeps everything in the public eye and people can't hide shit. That's always my worry with stuff like this, is like people hiding it. And like there being parts that aren't said. And if you just handle everything out in the public, sure, Riot could eventually react to this in the same way they did with Renegades and Monte Cristo. But they're way less likely to if you show intent to fix it, which you can do in the public eye entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would almost hope too that like
summary.
At some point, players at some point would realize like, hey, you have to like there has to be some type of coaching or system to where players should be able to report this and it get to somewhere like a Riot, you know, so who can be the like third party kind of stepping in if you can't go to the leadership of the team.
Yeah. You can't go to LCSPA either or like the LECPA because it's like, what power do they have? Not much, really.
Maybe they can help like talk with Riot and like help open those channels, but like yeah,
you need a hotline. Period. You need a hotline with Riot like that somebody can send for shit that's going wrong. Kind of is what it is. Is there any other headline that I'm forgetting or not thinking about prior to going into money?
Yes.
Oh,
It revolves a little bit around the jersey I'm wearing as well.
UG.
Didn't we talk about the UG thing early on? Or did I just skim over it very briefly?
I don't think we talked about it earlier on. I mean, did you guys talk about it last week? I know it wasn't official until today.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's like, what are you going to say about it whenever he's not even starting or not even playing? There's
still
for those that don't know,
weeks.
he's working on his visa right now, so like he's not cleared to play in any capacity.
I
Well,
can't think of anything else that deserves.
There's one more thing. Oh wait, you don't know? So as it turns out, as we learned yesterday, it turns out Tyrese Halliburton might be one of the best basketball players
Jesus
alive.
fucking
Yes.
Christ!
Yes,
I can't believe it, but he is. It could be.
And the Celtics are ass too. That's the other thing that we learned.
Apparently, sorry, Docs, I love you, but I'm not. I refuse to believe the Celtics are dead until they're dead. They scare me, bro. At any time, they can make like 53s in a game, and they terrify me.
They haven't done it yet in 2 games, so
Yeah, I know.
and they only barely lost both those 2 games. Like as much as Knox and people were like Celtics are done. I don't know. I think your team playing that bad and barely winning, I think they still seem to me as a team that could rattle off.
I don't
4
know
wins
what's
in a
going
row.
on though, because the Knicks are also not making anything. Neither team is like making anything. Like the Knicks don't shoot the 3 this bad either. They just, to be honest, the Knicks are only winning because they eventually realize we can't hit them. We're going inside. That's what you have to do. Like that's what the Cavs did, which worked for a second until
your
a
boy.
young man named Tyrese Halliburton showed up what he's about.
How was Pat today, by the way, on that?
He didn't stream today. I think he had a WWE event last night, and I forgot. But he tweeted a lot today about Pacer stuff, and pretty much said like tomorrow. He was like tomorrow at noon, be ready. So I'm pretty sure either like a Pacer player's coming on, or who knows. But usually that's what happens when he's hyping up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next day stuff. I mean, he's going hard on Pacer content right now.
As he should.
As he should.
Yeah, you really should. I mean, it helps that him and Halliburton like talk regularly.
I mean, I know I said this at the start of the year, and I've been a Blazers glazer just because I want to see Paul happy. But I like the way they play basketball. You know, I don't watch NBA much. But
It is fun.
Are they not feeling like the favorite for the title, kind of coming out of these last 2 games?
Tickle his balls while you're down there. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm not gonna tell you no to that. It makes me feel good. I will say, like, when you're watching 2 teams just huck and miss threes, and you're like, we got to play one of these. Like, I know what the Celtics can be, so I'd rather play the Knicks. But it does make you feel better when you're watching that, and you're like, we got guys. Is there a chance? Like, we have real guys. I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to feel something. I'm waiting for it to hurt, you know? Because, I mean, I know as good as anybody else as a Pacer fan, happiness is not allowed here. And our time's coming. It never goes well. This type of stuff never ends well. Like, it's never good. Something bad will happen. And I'll just have to live with it. But I am pretty happy right now, I'm not going to lie.
The other thing I'll bring up, GTA 6 looks absolutely incredible.
It does.
I know online play won't be a thing like right away with that game. But dude, I know we mentioned about doing more like community nights and stuff like that. Possibly playing like Among Us or some shit like that. Imagine getting all of us together on a GTA online server. Oh, yes. Dude, it'd be so fucking hilarious.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be a good time.
I'm excited.
GTA does look nice. The lighting is crazy.
Oh, dude, it's the one still frame that I couldn't get over was they were in like some backwoods area, and like the only light is like car headlights, not directly on, but just like kind of like off in the distance, providing the only casual lighting, and it felt so accurate to real life. I was like, what the fuck? This is insane.
Yeah, the bodies look crazy. Like
I
the
see
movement
what
of
you
the
did there.
bodies too is
I
nuts.
see what you're saying there.
Well, okay, yeah, but you get what I
Trying to be
mean, though.
sly.
Like,
I see you.
whatever. I can't even comment. You know,
Nope.
just the animation of the people. Is that better to say it that way?
Yeah. Sure.
Paul is a wholesome Midwesterner from Indiana. How dare you assume he means anything dirty or sexual when he says their animated bodies look well for a video game?
What's gonna really bother people is that the one body I was thinking of as reference was the dude's six-pack and his traps.
Dude, not even the traps. His fucking chest hair.
Yeah, I was like,
the individual
that's the
hairs on
most
his chest
accurate
and
thing.
arms were insane, and they like genuine, like they move in a natural way whenever he's moving. I'm like, how do they do this shit, man? With everything else ongoing, and there's the one that has like what is it? It's not the American Airlines Center anymore, or is it still the American Airlines Center? That where the Heat play down in Miami?
I don't know.
Regardless, there's the arena down there, and they have like a view of the city, and then there's the cruise port back and behind. Dude, they got the 16-story cruise ships there. Imagine if we get to go in the cruise ships as well.
Oh man, dude.
Dude, that's not like you can tangibly like think about how big a cruise ship is. To put that then into context of how big the fucking world is on top of that. Like that's just nuts.
True.
It's nuts.
It is an insane game. That's why they make tons of money off them.
They'll make over $1 billion first day.
Oh yeah.
First weekend.
Oh yeah.
First weekend guaranteed. First day they might get $1 billion.
I mean, I assume you're including like, are you talking about just the pre-sale or day of release?
Day of release, like that obviously will include pre-sales because pre-sales get redeemed as revenue on that day. So all pre-sales and day one purchases, they could hit $1 billion.
I think they could hit $1 billion.
At $100 a pop, okay? Because it's going to be $100 game.
I forgot it's 100.
That's our assumption so far, right? We don't know the price yet.
Yeah. It's
also,
that's only 10 million copies. That's only 10 million copies, bro. That's doable.
Yeah, that's possible.
Doable.
But here could be the killer for that. Is it going to end up on Game Pass?
No, there's zero chance that it ends up on Game Pass.
Yeah, I don't think so, to be honest.
For context,
think that's years away.
For context, GTA 5 hit $1 billion in 3 days. If they can do that in 3, 6 can do it in 1.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, 6 can do it in 1.
Easy, they can do it in 1. First day sales for GTA hit 800 million for GTA 5. They're hitting $1 billion easy.
Unless a massive recession
is it opening up on PC?
No.
Instantly?
No.
Still console exclusive?
Still console exclusive.
That could hurt it actually.
It did 800 million the first time, and it was console exclusive.
Yeah, but
I
think PCs have become more prevalent for a lot of people.
You're not wrong, but I'm buying a console for this.
What? You're not just gonna wait for a PC?
Why the fuck would I? It's gonna be a year later. I want to be playing on day 1.
You don't want to wait a year. I'll wait a year.
I'm not waiting a year. I want to play.
I mean, there's no point in buying $100 game on bad like that. It's supposed to look good, but it just looks bad the whole time because you bought it on console.
But you realize everything from the trailer was on console, right?
But they're not going to be able to get it to 60 FPS consistently.
Don't doubt them. I think it could happen.
I doubt them.
Speaking of doubt,
not with those level of graphics.
I think so. I think with PS5 Pro, I think you can. But
I won't be the judge of that because I'm not buying a PS5 Pro.
Speaking of doubt, has everybody here read the article? The Sheep
Yes.
The
Esports
sheep.
article.
Yeah.
Okay. Has
Has
everybody
everyone
here
read
read?
the Twitter thread?
Yes. Has anybody here read the Twitter threads?
Sadly, yes.
I mean,
Con,
it was uplifting. They're cultivating fandom. What was wrong
Yeah,
with the
they're
Twitter
cool.
thread?
Con, you and I have already put out public thoughts, so I want to give Paul the floor on this first to
Oh.
say whatever the fuck you want to say on it before this devolves into utter chaos.
I will say that thread, I did put something in the Discord about it. And I'm probably going to just reiterate that for the most part because I think he did more damage than he did damage control by coming out and pretty much admitting, in a sense, he made it sound like their thought process and the way they view esports is that it is just something they can blow money on. They're not worried about it making money. He tried to throw off that, like, we're not worried about it making money by saying we're not worried about short-term return, which isn't the point. The point is, can it be sustainable one day? And it seems like nobody cares if their league will ever hit sustainability. Because if LEC doesn't, and they got what, 4 times the viewership we did for our finals? Or would it have been 6 times almost at this point? Something crazy for Winter Split finals.
For Winter Split, it was closer to like 7 times.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 times more viewership, and they're not even worried about trying to make money? How are we supposed to make money? Like, I don't know, man. When the big boys, like, come out to play and they go, we're not worried about it, that worries me a lot. Especially because LCK seems like they are trying to figure it out. But Riot has not been as involved with LCK. Like, LCK Riot feels like they're a lot farther away from the NA mindset than LEC is. And you can just tell anything that Riot is able to touch closely and get their hands on and really communicate with those people, they seem to somehow convince them that making money with esports is a pointless effort and that the goal is just to push it as its own thing or a marketing thing, pretty much. And yeah, Lunar, what I mean is, like, I think it's harder for LA Riot to communicate with the Korean Riot and stop them from actually doing the right thing and making it sustainable, like LCK is sustainable.
Are they though? Is LCK making the right decisions? Because
I think they're trying. It might be the orgs doing more work than them, to be honest.
reason why
I think
say
T1
this,
is forcing their hand.
sure, losses for the LCK per the article last week went from right under 10 million in 2023, the same year that that we have knowledge on for the LEC, to quite literally doubling in 2024. So it
Yeah,
got
that's
way
true.
worse.
I was more
It got
thinking-
way worse in 2024. Now, what was told to me is that there was a massive sponsor that went away in 2024 that they're supposedly getting back this year. So that loss will drop
Okay.
back down to 10 once it's signed.
Well, wasn't it also like the Chinese broadcast stopped officially broadcasting LCK?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So they lost their broadcast right deal with like one of the Chinese streaming sites. Like, imagine that, a league using broadcast deals to try and fund themselves.
And even then,
Yeah.
they were 10 million in the hole.
Yeah, even then.
Yeah.
Which
Thank you, Lunar.
I just am worried because I know LCK, and the reason why I do say I think they're trying harder is because they have a cap that they're trying to institute soon and a plan for it, which is a lot more to say than it seems like the other leagues have. And I just fear the way the LEC guy was talking in that thread. It wasn't a ton, right? It's only 5 tweets, but you could really get a feel for his mindset. And him, like, pretty much all of them throwing their hands up and saying, well, the teams make money and the teams do all this stuff and there's nothing we can do. We can't just force the teams not to make their own money and do all this, is making me think like, how can you guys not be able to find any solutions in these? Like, there's just, the way they make it sound like is like there's just no way to make a sport profitable, which we just know isn't the case because there are plenty of sports that are profitable.
Well, I think herein lies the issue. We think we're more popular and more a bigger market than we actually are. Because we have because all of our broadcasting is on Twitch and YouTube free of charge, and because we don't really get a chance to see of like people who are engaging and like actually engaging and following the scene, we throw up numbers like, oh, look at how our numbers compare to the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals and all this stuff. I'm sorry. Worlds last year, the peak viewership without China last year was like, I don't know the exact number. I'll say 3 million just to be nice. I think it was less, but somewhere around there. That is like half as much as Koreans get peak every year for their baseball teams. And all I hear people say is like, and Korean is the like one country that has league in China a little bit, like has league like more culturalized, but like even are pulling all of the world numbers, when you look at like these peak statuses and when you actually compare them like peak for peak, what's what you get for actual TV reporting, we're not that popular. No. And what Twitch and like one, Twitch is a company that doesn't really make like has struggled to even break even themselves. They're basically lucky that like Papa Amazon just lets them kind of lose a little bit of money, and maybe they'll make money back with primes and stuff. But it's well known with like the Twitch CEO and Twitch over in the last like 5 years, and with them kind of like clamping down here and there and like laying off people, that even Amazon with Twitch is like, hey, you guys need to start finding ways to get like at least close to even break. And then, you know, YouTube with Google, who knows? Like
YouTube is apparently very profitable. I was reading in the threads and like discussion afterwards that like YouTube as a standalone entity would actually be an entertainment powerhouse now. They solved their monetization problems.
But they've learned between like OWL, they've learned between streamer deals, they've learned about other stuff. It ain't worth paying money for these streamer deals and stuff, because like that's not where the money YouTube makes its money. You know, it's not that big of a market to actually make a dent or a difference.
On top of that, the people that have watched esports are incredibly fucking stingy. At least in terms of the things that are provided to them. Now, I put a lot of blame personally on Riot on that front for not providing enough things for us to realistically buy. And that's across all their products. Because I know you've talked about it, Con, in terms of the Arcane front and like the merchandising and the licensing deals that they like just fuck up royally on. ProView is not going to be an answer, Lunar. Sorry, that ain't it. That's not like a mass market thing. Like, we do not have good ways to spend our money as fans on our teams. We just don't. So we have no ability to contribute to the ecosystem other than to just buy skins in the game. Riot refuses to dish out any of that revenue other than like the Xayah skin now, which like, sure, it's something. But the reality is we earn League so much money from actual like standalone skin sales. Whenever somebody uses a popular skin in game, or like whenever a champion is seen a lot in pro play, skin sales go up for that. I think Kelsey Moser put out a tweet on that. We see no cut of that. So if you're not going to fork that over and Riot's not going to do that, then guess what? You have a responsibility to find a way to give us goods elsewhere. And they ain't doing fucking shit. We don't even know if we're getting another emote this year.
Yeah.
Like, what have we received this year for me to be able to show them a fan of 100 Thieves in game? Or out of game. Out of game, I can go next Wednesday. I'm going to be walking my ass to the Adidas store in NoHo and buying myself a Noah Lyles Adidas 100 Thieves collab drop in some capacity.
True. That hoodie is nice.
That hoodie's insane. I ain't gonna get a hoodie because
I
Emily
liked
will
it.
Emily will be very mad at me if I come home with another hoodie.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I don't know if you heard that.
You don't need more hoodies.
I don't know if you heard that, but I don't need more hoodies apparently.
No,
So
I
I'm gonna
did hear
I'm gonna
you.
be
That's funny though.
I'm gonna be finding something else to buy. But like,
The most we have right now is subbing on like Twitch. And I'll be honest, they could even do more monetization from Twitch. What if it's like subs? You can't really track what team people sub with, right?
nope.
What if they created like one of the bit things? Because I know you can't group things as like bit things where you have like like each team has their own like $5, $10, whatever you want to call it, like bit thing that somebody could just like buy and redeem, bitwise, and whatever they make off the bits with those redeems, and they can track
Goes to the
that
teams.
goes to the teams. Like
Mhm.
I mean, that'd be
it's
smart.
just
But they're not gonna do
wouldn't
it. They're not gonna fucking do it. We know Riot's not gonna do it.
because they don't want to pressure fans, David, into feeling like they have to give their money over to their product. That
Oh,
is
I'm sorry.
just
That's
for
how
them.
fucking sport works. I'm sorry. That's how life works. Where you gotta fund this shit. You can't live in this imaginary world where it's like, oh, we casually had $32 million of losses. Congrats. You did your one-off thing. You did the one thing that everybody does whenever that panic, like red flashing light comes on, you laid everybody off. Congrats. Guess what? So your line was going up, you dropped your expense costs, and guess what? It's gonna start going up again. Because of bonuses, salary increases year over year. People just aren't going to be magically paid the same. That's not how it works. Like it is amazing to me. They took that one route. They did nothing to touch the revenue problem at all. And it's going to be like, well, we fucking tried. We did what we could. And it's like, no, the fuck you didn't. What are you talking about? It's just utter incompetence from everybody at LoL Esports leadership. Utter incompetence.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a ton of ideas we can keep throwing out infinitely because we have discussed most of what they have problems with revenue-wise that they could be doing for a while. But like the only thing I can think of is this was a good step in the right direction for the road shows for LEC of finding ways to monetize that, but that's not even true. I can't say that as an example because that's team run.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be like, well, that's team revenue. That's nothing we can do there. And I'm like, dude, why are you letting teams, if you are going to let teams figure this out and they're going to do all the hard work, of figuring it all out, at this point, you need to just sack the idea of the league being this thing that shares money. And I guess Riot just keeps pumping in to help them like stay even. But you need to start making the teams figure out how to be profitable on their own. And then doing a typical rev share like traditional sports and having a commissioner who actually runs it like traditional sports, because with Riot supplementing the money they lose.
Well, the problem is traditional sports, the leagues are built up from all the owners basically being one collective group together running their business. So anything that happens is all going back to all the ownership of the teams. Riot is a completely separate company that has a whole different revenue stream they could use from with the game per se, but they also want, like, in their mind, they want like 50% of the cut before it even gets to the teams. Sometimes even more, which is like,
Yep. Yeah.
If I don't know how to say it nicely, like if the cost of producing broadcasts this nice is this astronomical that it's the cost of running the league is like $50+ million a year, I'm sorry, find ways to lower that cost. If that means you don't have like 6 to 7 camera people working on 6 and 7 different camera angles for every series and stream, and you like can cut your production staff further back and stuff in terms of camera people, in terms of who you're using as producers on like a big board cutting back and forth, script writers, like you have to start being the product that which you are. Like you have to,
Yeah.
you'll have growing pains from a fan perspective because they're used to glossy, nice things. But like, glossy, nice is not gonna be around longer.
No.
Yeah,
And
and I mean, even local broadcasts find ways to do it with less cameras. Like, especially for the little teams, and college basketball would be like the best example. With that ESPN Plus West Coast Conference games, outside of Gonzaga, they do all the teams in the West Coast Conference, but obviously everybody just knows Gonzaga and St. Mary's. But like the little teams, like the Portland or Portland, like San Francisco games, they'll have one camera there with one guy moving it back and forth, and they have commentators usually zoomed in, watching the camera feed, like reacting to that. And that doesn't, I mean, that's just how it is because they know they can't spend a ton of money, sending a bunch of people out there. You send one guy, you let the production studio that's back home run that stuff. Then you let the guys be back home doing the talking over a broadcast. And yes, they don't feel everything perfectly, but that's what you're going to get for cheap-ish, if you're trying to do production on budget.
so I gotta be careful what I say on this one. There are certain things that I know that Riot has tried cutting back cost on and can be felt on broadcast in terms of many of the issues that we've been raising. I don't want to say much more because I don't want to get anybody in trouble for saying this, but like I know Riot is trying to cut some of the costs there, but here's my thing. I think they're trying to cut costs on some of the systems that they use while trying to keep the same functionality that they used to have. And it's creating many of these pains that we got. And the reality is, if your broadcast and everything else, as you said, is too expensive and you do need to downscale, you need to downscale. Like here's I don't like talking about this because I think back to what I said initially, and I remember Shox's response to it. And I just want to be careful with how I say this. But we don't know the LCS numbers. And I'm only going to use the LCS as like a hypothetical example. Say we're also losing that amount of money. I think one of the first things you do is you just go to casting games. And the analyst desk kind of has to go. Like if you can't afford, like if you're telling me that we can't reduce production, like if the production costs are are required to make this happen, it legitimately costs that much per day, like the 50,000 per day to do this, and there's no way for you to downsize that and make it more basic, then the only other answer is going to be the analyst desk. And given that the main broadcast number or like viewership numbers are already going down, is it going to exacerbate the problem more? Yeah, absolutely. But like the biggest thing with the tweet from Max that like really should hit home with people is that if this is not a marketing expense, if this is not a marketing tool, like many people, Travis included, were trying to like say and make it out to be over the last like year as we've been struggling with this, you have to get to break even. You have to. Like it's not this is not one of those situations where we can be like, oh, like you got to get rid of these things. Oh, but we love this, so we'll just keep it anyways. No, you have to fucking cut shit. And it's going to change drastically how the product looks. I understand that. But if you're telling, like, we don't have a choice.
And I'll say this point blank. I keep saying there's the one chart about the Riot Games revenue and profit margin and stuff, I think tells a much bigger story than people realize. And why it's so important that esports isn't just a marketing thing anymore.
Why is that?
2020, that was even a year where online spending went up because of COVID, people being at home. Riot had an EU, at least what this said, had a little bit of a net loss, or basically a break even. What changed for Riot Games moving kind of beginning in 2020 and moving beyond with 2021, 2022, and 2023?
Like the general Riot front or the esports front?
The general Riot front.
I don't know. What did Paul? Do you know?
Valorant started getting their revenue system put in place. TFT also started getting their revenue system put in place and became a mobile app. And then I don't think this one's as successful, but Legends of Runeterra became a gaming system with a mobile app and getting things on place. So the revenue started to jump up in 2021, 2022, and 2023. Doesn't tell me that League is the thing getting on board and could be causing that. Again, I don't know. I don't have the numbers, but there's a good chance that could be your TFT and Valorant causing that boost up there now. And that before those games had those proper revenue streams and Riot started getting revenue from them, League of Legends was basically a breaking even at Riot, at least in EU.
I mean, to be fair, with like the 2020 stuff, you have a lot of expense with Valorant early on as well. That's dragging that margin down. So
True.
The offset of that, and like I get your point on this, and saying that, you know, the margin might be a lot smaller for League, but at the same time, the margin would also be affected by Valorant and these other systems costing them money. TFT not having monetization. That could be these games getting back to break even, which then allows that margin shown to be the League margin again, for all we know. That's a different interpretation of it. You're saying that those margin, like League could be break even and those games could be driving us up. Those games could have been in the hole and get back to even and go. So the problem is we don't know.
But I think for me, my way of kind of like, that's why I think for Riot, esports is becoming less and less of like it's just a marketing tool, because I think it's like.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But the question is like, how does this move forward? Because like now we blanketly, I do not ever, and it's going to take me a long time to fight this in the TikTok comments, want to hear that, hey, it's just a marketing expense anymore. Nope, there's a tweet. It's not. We can stop that. So now what? Like now, like we were somewhat villainized over the last year and a half, especially whenever like the merger I get the merger didn't work and obviously had its problems because it was implemented in a terrible way. But we were having this conversation a year ago talking about how we need to do something to try and turn the ship around and make it profitable and make it break even in some way, shape, or form. Brazilian fans fucking hated us for it. And in general, people were just like, oh, focusing on profitability, like it's so dumb, you can ignore it. It's like, well, all those conversations are now valid again. So now where the fuck do we go from here?
Nobody will ever like Khan's ideas, because Khan doesn't think like everybody else does, who's generally the people tuning into stuff and talking about stuff like this, or the hardcore fans who care about this stuff and watch it all the time. But I think, isn't it kind of crazy that like all of the expenses are kind of happening, and then what did we do this year? We added a whole nother split worth of expenses. Like I
don't think to my understanding, this year they did not add that much cost. Total amount of days played has not changed all that much.
I guess I am of the proponent of a esports system that is and people don't like this because taking games away, I would make the esports calendar a 6 to 8 month type calendar and have more off-season time and like try to take away expenses that way. And if there are like third-party organizers that want to host tournaments during the like the 4 months of an off-season, let them do that. But like
Riot's not going to let them though.
No, Riot will never do this. Like that's the sad part is like we're talking about a company who thinks they're like God's gift to gamers. And anything they do is like God's gift to gaming.
Yeah.
Here's I don't know how we make this work, but I think Joe Marsh's interview with me, despite how much that is now villainized within the community for other things that happened in that interview, there's one thing that he said that I really do like. and that is I think we do need to shift towards like a global circuit system. I think you got to get, in my opinion, you got to get rid of these leagues. They're costing you too much money.
I actually had a somewhat in between system that I talked to Paul a couple weeks ago, where because I still don't think you can do a global system with Eastern and Western teams, because the Eastern teams will just stomp out the Western teams, and then it'll just cause Western interest to go down. My proposal to Paul is let's take Brazil, North America, Europe, and let's take LCP, China, and Korea, and create for the first main part of the year, create a 2 Super League system where each Super League, an Eastern Super League, Western Super League, has 2 tiers. There's a top tier that, the top, teams would qualify to. That would include mainly your top teams from, Asia, and like for Asia, like your Chinese and your Korean teams with maybe an LCP team punching up. And for the Western one, you'd have your best North American teams, your best European teams, and maybe a Brazilian or Latin American team pump up as like your top super team conferences.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a second tier in both of them that were all the bottom, like acted like a second, like tier 2 for these super tier conferences. And they had promotion relegation every year. After the conference season was over, after their league season was over, everybody goes back to their region and does a world's qualifying tournament. No season, no anything. It's just straight up. We're ranking all the teams based on their regular, their performance from super conferences, Worlds conference tournament, and then go straight into Worlds. That way, you're having the top teams from your Asian regions competing. You have your top teams from your Western scenes competing, but also like the bottom teams, your Shopifys, your Disguises, your, some of the Brazil teams, they're competing in a league with teams that are closer to their skill level. So those fans of those teams can cheer them on and feel competitive instead of them being just consistently stomped out.
I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an issue with that in any way, shape, or form. I mean, realistically, I think the answer, what will end up potentially happening before, because I don't think Riot has any intention of combining Europe and America. I'm just
no, they don't.
Basically, I'm basically you got on the one split.
Are they actually planning on lowering LEC to 8 teams though?
I hope not. It's not the team's fault that Riot can't figure this shit out. And they have in Europe, they have more than enough players to make 10 teams work.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I get the bottom still sucks, but the bottom's gonna suck fucking everywhere. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but like, I don't have the best answer here. All I know is, for a fact, these margins cannot continue. And something extreme is going to happen if this trend continues for another year and a half. And
well,
I don't know how to.
I would say we're already at the extreme for NA. NA is going to be the testing ground, especially what you said, the timeline of a year and a half of like this next end of this year going into next year is going to be the testing ground for Riot of what happens when a major region collapses and how do they handle it.
I mean, we had something extreme happen last year. LTA as a region got taken out. Both NA and like Brazil went down to like 6-ish teams. North America went down to kind of the 7-ish teams. Vietnam and other like LCP got even more stuff in there. Like we lost probably 20 global teams last year in League of Legends.
At least, yeah.
So like we've already seen I think step 1 of the major stuff.
I'm gonna go lay down because of my cold
All right, I love you. Good night.
I didn't want to waste the iced tea.
Got it.
And Lunar, good point. LMS was a major region at one point.
I
And I still can't believe, like Paul and David said, they'll never put Europe and NA together. Which to me, I hate it because it's like there's a natural competitive fan bases that would actually cause more interest to happen. Instead, you're pairing NA with Brazil, which again, Brazil fans are awesome; they support their teams, but geographically, and culturally, it is as far, if not further away, as Europe for most North American fans.
It's I just looked at the viewership. We're still hovering at average viewership of 68,000. You can't. You cannot you cannot make a league work on 68,000 viewers. It's not possible. In terms of they cannot make the league work in its current structure on that viewership. There's no solution to make that work.
And it has no signs of getting better.
No. I don't know. What's the average for LEC? That's a great question. Let me check. Because let's see. LEC.
LEC may even be down year to year pretty significantly.
LEC Spring. No, I need 2025, not 2024.
I mean, it's just, I think with where viewership is for the North, that the 90K we're getting to, what even was viewership last week?
It averaged around 60. That number has been incredibly stable. So it's like
60.
68K. LEC for context averages 201.
Yeah, 68K just is cooked. I mean, if we're being honest.
We haven't got to finals with LEC yet. That is down about 60,000 from last year average viewership too.
Yeah. And last year, I mean, I'm assuming last year was probably down from 2023.
Which is crazy safe. LEC can figure out these roadshow things though, and viewership doesn't go up. That's not a problem because their roadshows could sustain that, right? Filling up arenas.
That's the thing. It's like you're off that viewership.
Yeah,
is almost irrelevant because the event is profitable. As long as the event makes money, period. That's enough. Everything else on top of that is just an added bonus.
NA is not. I mean, I just think we're cooked because you can't have viewership be lower than salaries. Like for one player, you know?
Oh God,
like
that's a terrible. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Well, I just mean like the money or you can't make 68,000 viewers somehow turn into enough money to pay these players. If we're being honest, it just doesn't seem like it's possible in my head. I mean, you can't even pay. Honestly, like you said, we'd have to cut the analyst desk at least.
I mean, here's my thing. How can you make the LTA in its current form profitable? Or, well, let's not even do the LTA. Let's do the LEC. Okay? The LEC is currently losing, what, $30 million a year. We'll drop, because they cut 10% of their workforce. So we'll shave a good portion, or we'll shave, I don't know. We'll be generous and assume 10% of the cost go away. So we'll assume 10% of that deficit gets chunked away. How do you make we'll just make it flat 25. How do you make a $25 million deficit go away for the LEC? And those road shows, might I remind you, don't contribute to that in any way, shape, or form because that all goes to the teams because the teams are paying it.
Oh, man. That's a problem. You don't really. I don't know what they could do. I mean, they'd have to get out of that studio somehow.
They
The
can't. That
studios they
Berlin's the
built.
cheapest fucking place they're gonna have the studio. They're in a
Well, yeah, no,
warehouse
I
in the
mean
middle of
they
nowhere.
need to they need a bigger venue to monetize than
But
the
then that
size of the
argue
venue they
would
currently
you argue
have.
that increases cost though?
I mean, not if you're monetizing it correctly.
How well can you monetize? Say they go up to like
If
1,000
teams can
people.
do it, they should be able to figure it out. Ask the teams how they do it, to be honest. I mean, is that going to be embarrassing? Yes. Are you going to have to, like, kind of accept that you failed at your job? Yes. But if the teams have figured out how to make money from these events, maybe you need to ask them
I mean, we don't know
how
if they
they're
have.
doing it.
We have
That's true
we have
too.
no inclination of whether Koi was profitable from that event.
Yikes. Yeah, that's a good point.
You got to cut down on the quality of broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, how many cameras do you think they use in these broadcasts?
I couldn't
Like,
tell
and
you.
like, I have to imagine at least like 4 of the high tech like ones that can move around, like ones that move around.
That or honestly, you go full online. I just don't see how if running the studio isn't making money and it's costing them money, then they should move to full online. Because a 100-person studio does nothing. In the grand scheme of hype for the event, that tiny little studio doesn't do anything.
In their words, it provides I mean, well, we saw this during COVID to a certain extent. People desperately wanted a crowd in the background of the cast because they hated how it sounds. Now imagine, okay, we're in this system and you're saying go online, okay, without the road shows and shit. That's the overwhelming majority of the year though. Is just like the casters casting it.
Well, I was thinking if you're gonna go online, then it would be like every other weekish you're doing a road show. Like somewhere in there you gotta fit it in. Like let's say you have 9 weeks, then every third week is a road show. Weeks 3, 6, and 9 are
Yeah.
road shows. Weeks 1 and 2 are online. Because you don't want to waste the money, right? But I mean the studio they put a ton of money into. I get that, but sometimes you waste money. I mean, what was the point in blowing a ton of money on something that's just costing you more money now? There's like zero return on investment. There's zero gain from that studio, other than it helps you blow more money quicker. You would
I mean,
have to move to every third week.
you would need, like, in my opinion, you would need to get rid of all the analyst desks in areas and all like the equipment and everything you're using to like broadcast from the analyst desks, include lighting, include like you basically need your operations to be like your basic, like maybe one basic lighter who handles the lights for the stage. You have your casting crew and one camera on them. Obviously you have like your refs and your people who like basically are the cameramen in game,
Yeah.
but you don't need like an extra camera people like to track crowd shots. We don't need camera people that are like, we just need to scale back to like bare minimum type broadcast feels.
From what I hear, it sounds like the LAC is already there. Like
no, they have a whole analyst desk and stuff.
The analyst desk I think can be a bit much, sure. But like I'm saying in terms of the actual like camera crew, lights, etc., those were all the people that were affected by layoffs. So like they're down to my understanding to the minimal amount of cost that you can have. Here's my thing.
You need a tiny amount of analyst desk.
No,
like
the casters
that's
are the
online.
The casters are
yeah, but the casters having the casters cast the game, no break, also analyze the game, no break back into casting, no break back into analyzing.
I will say this
is gonna wear them down.
I think we're focusing heavily on the cost side of things. I don't think we can change the cost
Yeah,
all that much. I really don't. I think even if you go online and you have these shows, like I don't think our costs ultimately are going to be that massive of a problem. It's a revenue thing. It's always been a fucking revenue thing. And like I think we've established it, like where we're at right now for the most part is the lowest we're realistically going to get without significantly deteriorating the product. Because going online, whether I'm for that or not, does affect the broadcast. Like what I disagree with is like I'd rather play online than from this fucking side studio bullshit. I'd rather do that every day. And that's a whole other thing. But I mean, I think the thing that like actually gets you any sort of tangible fucking growth towards all this is you got to solve the revenue problem. This is not a cost problem anymore. It is a Riot needs to cave, and if they truly want to make it work, start actually profiting off of fan bases.
Do we want to hear the probably the harsh truth here?
That they won't.
It probably is worse for they probably make less revenue by targeting esports fan bases than if they actually just make their regular skins for the game.
I agree, but then you can't also like Riot cannot come out and say the directive is for you to make money. You're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. If that's the case, if that's where your priority is going to lie, you need to come out and say that it's a marketing tool. And you need to establish that. But now that that excuse is out of the way, that's no longer a viable reason. You cannot have the skins team come in and like Riot Global being like, hey, we're just going to make more money from regular skins. Because then it's like, okay, what the fuck do you want me to do? Because if you won't help me, and Riot Esports is not being given any more resources to work on revenue streams besides that, what the fuck are you going to do? It's impossible. Like, you're fucked then. And the only person to blame is Riot.
Also, I'm not willing to say that LEC Spring is way down until playoffs happen. For the official numbers, I assume it'll still be lower. Like probably what we're gonna get the average viewership up to 240 at best, which is still 25K down, and that'd be like a best case scenario. But I think LEC, like, they have to be the one that we look at as what can they do to get to like break even, you know? Because they're the only one that can at this point. I think NA is just tossed because you can't sell NA broadcasting rights any more than you want. You can't sell the Coinbase sponsorship. Probably isn't that much.
Coinbase is global as well.
Honest.
That's not
oh, that's just
domestically.
global.
That's only international events.
If there's one thing that'll help NA over EU is that sponsors and marketing spending is much bigger and frugal in North America than it is in Europe. Not sure if, because remember last year, 2 years ago, they mentioned that the LCS was still one of, if not the top league when it came to getting in sponsorship money. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. Which I do. Well, yeah. I mean, our dollar. Yeah. Because it costs so much to live here too. But I know. I'm just thinking though, like that money could still mean nothing because we could be, they could be raking it in their country to have a deal, and we're raking it in ours, which our money doesn't go as far. You make that amount of money, it still costs so much amount of money. But my fear is like for NA, at some point, economically as well, just with the way the world's going, there's got to be a moment where people look and go, "Why are we paying this much for a 68K stream?"
It's already happening. That's why the ad sales bubble bursted. That trend started. That's why like the revenue graphs that you saw starting from 2023 started plummeting because the ad sales bubble burst. And now like we're just in this Oh, sorry. I got an ESPN update. I thought the fan that fell over the stands in the Pirates game died. Turns out he just broke everything. Uh, apparently. Anyways. Where the fuck was I? I completely derailed myself entirely on that.
Oh, the bubble burst thing.
Oh,
the
yeah.
AdSense bubble.
Your sponsorships and ad sales are never going to be the answer to this problem. They can't be.
No.
Because your audience just does not buy shit. You have not trained them to do that. They're not willing to do so. We've had incredible sponsors over the last few years that make actual products that are good for gamers. Alienware being like probably one of the better examples. Yes, they're pricey, but like that is a company that makes the direct stuff that gamers are going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't make that work. We could not make it a reasonable partnership for them to maintain. HyperX, that's not working all that well. Like insurance ain't gonna work. Cell phone, like AT&T, Verizon, shit like that. Like maybe, but even then, you're
only
naturally gonna
fast
have
food
that.
and Grubhub, bruh. Fast food and Grubhub is like the only thing
Kia.
I think you could get gamers to buy.
And somehow Kia is fucking paying
Kia's
for
just
everybody.
sticking around. I don't know any gamer who's bought a Kia because of LCS.
Kia is just an esports type thing, but when you see it with Cloud9, Kia, Diamond, Kia is like a South American company that just wants. They probably have somebody in their like CEO group or whatever that's just a diehard like esports fan, and it's just like, I'm gonna spend some of our money on esports.
Yeah,
because like that's gonna go away. So then what? What do we have?
Is the other kind of big issue here is the demographic of North American esports, or in general, just a demographic that doesn't spend on things.
I see
when I think of culture,
I see those same people that mock, like the same people that will go in and be like, oh, I see this fucking ad break. Like it's the Red Bull Baron Power Play, and it's this advertisement for this. There's so many ads. Get them off my screen. Ooh, $200 gin skin. I'm gonna go buy that. Like it's the same fucking people. Like they're spending money. Like
a lot of those people, it was pulling teeth to get them to lose hex check tests or chests and Amazon Prime capsules. Like you take away the free stuff from the gamers, I thought they were gonna have an aneurysm.
Yeah. I mean, look, the whales are still the whales, but in general, look, I agree. You gotta what you have to do to a certain extent is you have to tie an element of pride in with this that Riot didn't. Riot has always been the company of like, oh, we're the best for the gamers and we're gamer friendly. Tie this in and be like, hey, we'll be transparent with the financial numbers and show you that you need to help fund us. The reality is none of this shit works unless we have a paying customer base that people want to advertise to, or that you can pay to sustain this yourself.
I agree with you, but do you know what I think the actual response from fans would be?
Let it die.
Fuck you! You want us to save you?
It's not, but
yeah.
If that's the response, then let it die. Let it die. You have an industry that's not going to fucking work, ever, and it just is what it is. And in that case, either Riot acknowledges at that point that this is a marketing thing for them, and they start covering the cost, and like stop bitching about it, and stop having this narrative that it's supposed to be profitable in any way, shape, or form. Or you finally start changing some fan sentiment around. Because I think more people, there are a lot of people that I agree with you, will sit here and be like, fuck you, I'm not paying for shit. I think there's a healthy base underneath that would go a week without it and be like, you know what, I'll pay for this. There's a healthier base, I think, than we realize that would do that. I'm not saying it's going to sustain the ecosystem as it stands right now. Clearly not. But I think you can make something of this and something of esports in general by being a self-sustained model.
I thought there'd be enough self-interested, smart people to realize, hey, Hex Tech Chess going away is probably a good thing for the company long term. The problem is the people who are allowed that are going to create the narrative are going to be the people that will have multi tweets against it, will have multiple Reddit threads against it, will make sure it's all over like YouTube videos against it, and it just becomes a bad PR thing of like.
So I want to address this comment chat because I mentioned it in my video on Monday, and then I think we can wrap this up because we're going deep. Kierman said, maybe I'm crazy, but the LEC director's response sort of says these financials shared are not accurate. He didn't say they're not accurate. He said they're not complete, which is different. He said that they don't paint the entire story. In PR speak, what that means is the numbers that they reported are right or are factual in a majority sense, but it's missing part of, like, there's underlying details behind that, which we can take these numbers and spin it off to 20 different areas. For example, if you go back in the VOD, Khan and I had a conversation about whether it was league profitability or league margins, like net revenue or net income margins being low, or if it's Valorant, other games dragging it down, because we know the Riot Global number. That's one of those situations where the head of the LEC is talking about, like, hey, you're not able to see the full story with this. But not once does he say the numbers are factually incorrect. He does not say that at all, which is very specific wording. So the numbers that they are reporting do appear to be right. And the esports not about short-term returns. I mean, that just conflicts with their statement otherwise. That this is...
To round everything up here, what's going to, close the book of this podcast with how we opened it. What'll happen now in the future is the League of Legends esports scene is going to be funded by Abu Dhabi Disney World, and we're going to have all of our games played there.
Does that mean that I get to technically work for League of Legends? Technically? Did I back end my way into Riot by doing that? They rejected me for that staff accounting position like 7 years ago, and this is how I get my revenge.
I don't know how close you guys are going to be tied to that Disney World perk from Disney, but maybe,
I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it does look like they're about to take over esports, though, financially speaking.
I don't think it solves anything. I think they just come in and fill.
I mean, no, it wouldn't. 100%.
It kicks the can down the road 5 years is all it does. Which, hey, maybe that 5 years is all they need to solve it. Who knows?
I think for LEC, a large part will be just, do they change that mindset of, I hope he comes out and says something about long-term return and what their plan is for that.
Dude.
Because I know a lot of this can be overreactive, just taking too much. Maybe I'm putting too much stock into him saying, we're not worried about the short-term return, and him just stopping there. I mean, I do think what he did was not helpful. It was honestly hurtful to the cause he had, because like telling people, hey, we're not about the short-term returns, but then not explaining how you intend to make this profitable later doesn't really do anything.
They have been saying it's not about the short-term returns since I've started. Not 8 years. I've heard that back when I first started in 2011, 2012. But it's not about the short term. We're going to be a long-standing cultural phenomenon that will grow and be turned into a cultural sport.
This is for the gamers. They love that one.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
This is for the gamers.
I've been watching the esport for 14 years now. You've only shrunk. Like in terms of like your North American audience. Europe has had ups and downs. Globally, it looks better, numbers wise, but like.
But who knows? I mean, because the Korean numbers, is it people VPNing, to watch on streaming services we can actually track? Or are they actually growing? It's hard to tell, because Korean League keeps, like we talked about earlier, it's not getting more financially sound. They're just throwing big numbers at us that is kind of impossible to verify.
Yep.
The one thing we can verify is that none of it makes money, which is unfortunate.
Yep. I have held so still that she's been able to fall asleep, which I'm proud of. I have like not moved a single inch of my body.
Well,
Now, are you going to be able to end this podcast without moving, or are you stuck now?
Not a chance. There's no way I can do that. So I feel bad, but it is what it is. Oh man. All right, folks, we've been live for coming up on 2 hours now. Hey Zell, what's up? But I think that's going to be it for us. Just a heads up, I got the pick coming out tomorrow. I've got a full, like my full reaction, pretty much kind of talking about what we talked about here, but for like an actual YouTube video on Monday. And then that's pretty much it. I got so far done in terms of like my catch up on content that I'm actually ahead, which is nice. Because separately, I got invited to, the Webby Awards. They're doing a creator event here in New York, which I just got an invite to this upcoming weekend. So we're going to be doing the watch party at OS. I might miss most of it, but like I can't not go to this. Like it's one of those like networking things that you kind of have to show up to. And I've got everything organized for the watch party, so they should be fine. But yeah, I got that coming up, and then the Callista only stream is probably going to happen on Friday if I had to guess. I don't think I have anything going on Friday. So, anything else, boys? Anything you want to shout out?
Friday night, 7:00 or 7:30 maybe. It's the greatest show on hardwood, buddy. You're gonna be watching?
No, I will not be.
I'm pretty sure it's on your network. I can confirm that.
On
Yes, sir, it
ABC?
is. ESPN, baby.
Oh, ESPN? Nice.
They wouldn't put us on ABC. That'd be way too many eyes on Pacers basketball. Come on
Until the
now.
finals. Until the finals.
Yeah. No, even the finals, if the Pacers make it, it's all being put on like ESPN Ocho and TBS probably.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
They'll
Con?
hide that.
You can check out my channel, Josh Con. I do movie reviews, play Skyrim, talk Survivor every now and then. Big Brother's coming up, so
Nope.
Please read the lunar comment.
Shout out to Boston
Yeah.
for blowing a 20-point lead faster than
It's impressive. Boston found a way to do Cleveland up one the day after. I thought Cleveland, like blowing a 7-point lead in 45 seconds. I thought that was pretty impressive. Boston said,
I'm
"Hold my
just
beer."
happy the Knicks win doesn't count because KP was out with an injury. So clearly that means Boston needs more strength.
Well, on that note, folks, I'm not just going to blankly end the stream because, as always, I promise that if there's a 100 Thieves player, I will be rating them. And guess what? Sniper is live. So to the 7 people watching over on Twitch, I'm going to be sending you over Sniper's way. For the people on YouTube, I would highly recommend checking out his stream. I need you all to spam that he needs to play Aurelia this next game. For all the shy knockers out there, he needs to play Aurelia without a question. Like, don't just do it. All right. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you fudging later. Bye-bye.